find out what you can do. Let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is to log in. So you'll go to agohq.org, click on member login, enter your login credentials. And when you get to the ONCARD menu, you'll select chapter administration. It's the last one on the list. The first menu option on your chapter administration menu is chapter information. Under this menu option, you can update your banking information, update your chapter friend amount, create chapter specific data. That's questions that you want to ask your chapter members, and add or delete chapter contributions that are specific to your chapter. Now, this banking information is only going to be visible or editable by your chapter treasurer. So if you are not the chapter treasurer, you will not see this ACH information. But if you are the chapter treasurer, you will see this. If you ever need to update your banking info, you'll need to update the following fields: bank name, routing number, bank account number, and say whether it's a checking or savings account. Once you click save, an email will be sent automatically to national headquarters staff so that we can send future ACH payments to your new bank. If you are not a chapter treasurer, this is what your ACH information section will look like. It'll just remind you that only the chapter treasurer can view and update the chapter banking info. But underneath that, everyone can update the chapter friend amount. So as you know, chapters can set their own chapter friend amount, and this can be updated at any time. All you have to do is come into this chapter information menu option, click here, change the amount, and save changes. Then all future invoices for those chapter friends will have the new amount. An important thing to keep in mind is that we invoice a couple of months in advance. So for example, we have opened all invoices through September. So if you changed the chapter friend amount today, all of the chapter friends on an October schedule or in the future, beyond October, November, December, will have the new chapter friend amount. But anybody who's on that July, August, September renewal cycle will have the old chapter friend amount. So it's just something to keep in mind. Once you select Save Changes, that amount is updated. Chapter-specific data is the next thing on this page as you scroll down. And chapter-specific data are the list of questions that you want to ask your chapter members. Many chapters ask about substitution availability, or if you have a second email address, or if you are available to teach. We are going to go through how to make a new chapter specific question and how to delete one or make it inactive if you no longer want it to appear for your members. But first, let's look at the instructions. Then we'll do it in real time. So to add a new question, you're going to want to go to this additional fields section of that chapter information menu choice, and you're going to click the green plus sign. The important fields to fill out are this field name, and basically that's just like a short title. If it's more than one word, you're going to have to connect the words with an underscore. So if you want sub_days, if it's just one word, you don't need to worry about the underscore. The description will be the question you want to ask. And then you can decide what type of field you want it to be. So let's go add one in real time. So here I am in the test chapters, chapter administration menu. And I'm going to go into chapter information. And because I'm the chapter treasurer, I see the banking info, and here's the chapter friend amount. And then here is the additional fields. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a plus sign. And I'm going to make a question about newsletter delivery. So I'm going to title it news. And I'm going to say, how would you like your newsletter delivered? And I'm going to make sure that box is checked, and all of these boxes are checked. I'm also going to make sure that this the status is active. That means that my chapter members will see it. And I'm going to go over here to the choice, and I'm going to give them options. And once I select option, it's going to populate a couple of other fields. In this field, show options online as, I'm going to change that from drop-down list to check. And then under here, the code, the first one I'm going to give them the option of is email. And it's not going to be able to do the entire code, it's limited the number of characters. But here in the description, I can write a longer description. So I'm going to write email delivery. And this is going to be the first option that they see. And then I'm going to click enter. And it's going to say up here that the additional field has been updated. Then I can scroll down and add my second option, which is going to be postal mail. Postal mail delivery. And I'm going to make this the sort order too, because I want it to appear second. Once again, I'm going to click enter. And the additional field has been updated. I'm also going to save changes. And now we're going to see what that question looks like to your members. So now I'm going to exit the chapter administration menu and go back to my main menu as a member. And I'm going to go to update personal information. And I'm going to scroll down to view the chapter specific data, because this is where the questions will end up. And as you can see, how would you like your newsletter delivered? Email delivery or postal mail delivery? And it's that quick. As soon as you hit save, your members will see those questions, which is pretty cool. Now let's go back and look how you would add a contribution code. So if you scroll down a little bit more on the chapter information page, you will see, you'll start to see these contribution fields. And these are the contributions specific to your chapter. So you'll want to find one that has in the description contribution option 3, because we'll know that that one hasn't been used yet. So you'll put a name for the contribution. You'll add a short description in this box right here. And two important things to remember. You're going to want to keep the dollar amount as 0, because if you don't, if you put a dollar amount in that field, it's going to pre-populate that amount for every member and add it to their invoice. And we do not want to do that to our poor members. We want them to be able to decide how much they want to contribute. So just keep that amount 0. You also want to make sure that you check this box next to available to members online, because this will make sure that your members see it. All right, so let's go make a contribution code. So we're going back into chapter information. We're scrolling past the ACH information, the chapter friend amount, the additional fields, and here's the contribution codes. So we're going to go down to here because this one is the first empty one, and we're just going to we're just going to name it Test Chapters Annual Fund. Please consider helping with chapter programming. We're going to leave that dollar amount as 0. If there is a suggested donation, you can always put that in your description. Suggested donation, $5. And then you're going to make sure that it's available to members online. You're going to scroll down and save changes, a very important step. And now we're going to go see what it looks like. So I'm going to exit the chapter administration. And I'm going to go in once again as a member. I'm going to go to make a contribution. And I can scroll down to the test chapters contribution. And here it is. Test chapters annual. I forgot the word fund, but you get the idea. Here it is. It showed up in real time, which is also just a really cool feature. All right, let's go back and see what else we can do in chapter administration. The next menu choice in chapter administration is remove chapter members. And I've put here danger, never use this feature. Originally, it had a purpose. When we were all on that July renewal cycle, this remove chapter members had a purpose. But now, since we're on rolling dues schedule, it no longer has a purpose and it is very dangerous. So please just stay away from it. Do yourself a favor. The next thing is the officer roster. And this should be done either annually or biannually, depending on how long your officers are in office. And what you can do on this page is update the position to date for returning chapter officers, add new chapter officers, or delete outgoing chapter officers. Helpful.
Molly, we do have a question.
Oh,
and this is probably a good place to ask it. What about a deceased member?
Oh, you know what? That is coming up. So just remember to look or be paying attention whenever I get to the member roster menu option, and we'll learn how to mark a member deceased. All right, so back to the officer roster and the helpful hints. Before adding a new officer, use the scissors icon to delete the record of the incumbent. Before adding a new dean, create a past dean record for the outgoing dean. Term date should be left blank for the past dean record. Now, one important thing to note is that a dean cannot delete his or her own officer roster record. So if you are a dean and you are an outgoing dean, you're going to have to ask another chapter officer on your team to help you out. This is the third helpful hint is also very important. You're never going to want to update the name or contact information on an officer record. So to update the position to date, it's very easy. You just go to the pencil next to that entry, click on it. It'll take you to a new page where you can update the term end, and you just click on post changes and return to the officer roster by clicking view officers at the top of the page. And you'll see that the position to date has been updated. That position to date or term end date is so important. It tells how long an officer has access to chapter administration. If that date passes, a chapter officer will be locked out of chapter administration. And so if that term end date says 6/30/2021, and it is July 1st of 2021, you will no longer have access to chapter administration. If that ever happens, don't worry, just give us a call at headquarters and we can give you access once again. But if you do it prior to that term ending date, you update it, that's also very helpful to us. In order to delete the officers who will no longer be serving on the board, all you have to do is go to the scissors next to the outgoing officer's name and click on them. You'll be asked to confirm, and this is a scary question. Are you sure you want to remove the dean from the current chapter? And you'll want to click OK. You're not really removing them from the current chapter. You're only removing them from the officer roster. So don't be too alarmed by that question. In order to add a new officer, all you have to do is click the plus sign, follow the instructions in red on the page, and then post changes. And we're going to go do that right now. So I'm going to continue. So I'm going into chapter administration again. I'm going to go into that officer roster. And here are the pencils and the scissors next to somebody's name. So if you needed a better visual. Now we're going to add, this chapter doesn't have a chapter dean. So we are going to add a chapter dean. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to select the position of dean. And I'm going to put a term end date of 07/01/2022. And it's really important to put 4 digits for the year. If you only put 07/01/22, the system is going to say that the term end is 1922. And that was a long time ago. So you're not going to want to do that. Just remember to put 4 digits for the year and you'll be golden. All right, so then to find the person, the dean, you're going to want to double click in this left-hand rectangle. And the neat thing about this box is that it will only show you members in your chapter. So there might be loads of John Smiths in AGO, but if John Smith is a chapter officer, you will only be able to find the John Smith that's in your chapter when searching in this, by this search for individuals. So we are going to make Elizabeth George our chapter dean. And so I'm going to search her last name, George, and click search. And here she is. So I'm just going to pick her. And her name will populate in the right rectangle. And then I'm going to post changes. And then we're going to go to view officer. And we're going to see, there she is. Elizabeth George, Dean of the test chapter until July 1st of 2022. All right, let's move on. Now, this menu option has loads of information. And I'm just going to show you bullet points. There is more that this page can do. And if you want to go, more in depth, you can always give me a call. But the things that we're going to go over today are how you interpret the member roster page, how you filter.
Molly, we do have a question from Ruth Hoffman. How long does the past dean stay on the officer roster? Is there a reason they should stay on the officer roster?
That is really up to your chapter. Generally, as a rule of thumb, we just have the one past dean, just the most recent past dean. But if your chapter wants, to keep a record on online, as opposed to like an outside record for just your chapter, then you can add as many past deans as you want. It can be your memory. So it's really up to your chapter. Anything else?
Thank you. You're good to go.
All right. All right. So, so we're going to learn to filter by expiration date and membership type, find each member's contact information, learn the chapter administration for each member record, and that's where the deceased member will come in. So it's coming up. And then how to put on the invoice preference, or let us know the invoice preference for each of your members. All right. So here we go. First, I'm going to show you actually what it looks like. So it gives you a little bit of context. So this is the member roster page. And so the filter records is right here. Just keep it in mind, we're coming to it. And this is what populates on the page. And so that's the first thing we're gonna discuss. So these are the fields: the name, the expiration date, the membership, chapters, email, primary, chapter status. These two columns, membership, chapters, they're a little confusing. So that's why we need to learn how to interpret them. The membership column tells the type of membership that person has in your chapter. If this column says young organist, regular, or special, it means that this member's primary membership is in your chapter. If the type of membership in this column is dual, it means that that member has a dual membership in your chapter. Based on the what's in the membership column tells you how to interpret the chapters column. So the chapters column either gives you the primary or dual chapters based on the membership column. So if a member is listed as a young organist, regular, or special member in the membership column, the chapters column gives you that person's dual chapters. If the person is listed as a dual member in the membership column, the chapters column gives you the person's primary or other dual chapters. That's a lot of words, so I'm going to give you some examples. So in this example, this member is a dual member in your chapter with a primary membership in Tulsa. I also want to point out that it just says dual member. It doesn't give you whether it's a regular, special, or young organist, and that's going to be really important, so just keep that in mind. In this second example, in the membership column, it says young organist. So this person is a young organist in your chapter, and their dual chapters are Bangor, Los Angeles, and San Diego. This is the year of the young organist, as all of you know, and young organists are allowed to choose up to 3 dual chapters. So it's going to be really important for you to understand how to read this membership and chapters column. Really cool feature of this page is that you can filter the records before you create an Excel spreadsheet. So it only has the people that you want on it. Or it'll just filter the records that appear on the screen. So there's lots of ways that you can filter, but one of my favorite ways is filtering by expiration date. And this is especially useful when you're trying to find people who are about to lapse or about to be canceled so that you can reach out to them. And I put the expiration date of June 1st, 2021, because those people are still in their grace period. And then you'll click process at the bottom of the page, and then you can export to Excel at the top right-hand corner of the page. Once you have that Excel spreadsheet, you're going to want to highlight column D and then click sort smallest to largest. Because this is going to make all of those members who need to renew come up to the top. It is so important for chapter officers to reach out to members up for renewal. It does wonders. A phone call or a personal email to these folks. It just gives them the inspiration to renew, especially if you let them know about all the amazing programming you have for the upcoming year. And it's just a great way, to keep in contact with your members. As I said before, this is the year of the young organist, and we're going to want to know who the young organists are in our chapter. The best way to do this is to filter by membership type and also by expiration date, because you're going to want to know which young organists are current. So that's why I put both of these filters on. You can process at the bottom of, click at the bottom of the page, and you can either, put them all into an Excel spreadsheet, or they'll just all populate on the member roster page. On the Excel output, the email address is in column I, and the phone numbers start in column AB, AC, and AD, which means you have to scroll over really far in the Excel spreadsheet to find these phone numbers and this contact information, but it is on there. Now, on this Excel spreadsheet, it does not have the postal addresses. That I'll show you in a little bit. If you want to find the contact information for a specific person, you can just go into the pencil next to their name. And once you are there, click View Edit Address Information, and that will show you where the phone numbers and addresses are. And the email address will be on the page as soon as you click the pencil. All right. At the top of everyone's, let me give you some context. So we're going to go back to chapter administration, and we're going to go into Harold Calhoun's record. We're just going to click on the pencil. And so you see this chapter administration part it's right at the top. And then his contact information is down here, his email. And if you would click on that, view, edit address information, his addresses are there. But this is the part that we're going to focus on, this chapter administration. And you can do three things. You can remove a person from your chapter. For example, if they've moved away and you know that they're never going to join your chapter again, you can remove them. I would do this with caution, because once you've removed them, you no longer have a way to contact them. And so I would do that as infrequently as possible. But if there's someone who, like I said, has moved away from your area, you know they're never going to join your chapter again, you can go ahead and remove them from your chapter. If a person has passed away and you want to mark them deceased, you can check this box right next to deceased and put in a date of death. It's okay if you don't have that date of death. We'll do an internet search and try to find it. And so it's okay if you don't have that. As soon as you click Save Changes after you've checked this box for deceased, National Headquarters will get an email, and we will actually officially mark that person's membership record with that sad news. The third thing that you can do in this chapter administration portion is make somebody a chapter sponsored member. If your chapter wants to pay for someone's membership, you should put the chapter treasurer's ID in this box and save the changes. Then any future invoices created for that member will be sent to the chapter treasurer and will only be for the national portion. Those invoices can also be paid by credit card through chapter administration, which we'll be coming to shortly. The last thing that I wanted to show you was how to let us know if somebody wants a paper invoice. So again, I'm going to give you some context. We're going to go back here, and you're going to scroll down on this page, and you can see if you go all the way to the right of someone's name, there's this paper invoice checkbox. If you know one of your members really wants a paper invoice, you can just check the box next to their name and process, and we will start sending them paper invoices. And there's all that's all that's to it. All right, before we go on to the next menu option, are there any questions?
I don't believe so. And
Okay.
just by the way, I think I mentioned this. If I didn't, I had this awful vision of everybody scribbling madly to do write these steps down. This is a handout. Everyone's going to get this handout. So please don't go crazy trying to jot all this information down. There's no reason to do it. Okay, thanks, Molly. Go on.
Sure. All right, so this export member data page. The downside of this page is that you can't filter before creating it. It has to be filtered completely and entirely in Excel. However, this is the export that includes all the postal addresses for your members and includes the answers to those chapter-specific questions. Once you click in to this menu choice, the only thing you can do is export results in the right-hand corner. And then once you click that, it'll prompt you with this question in red. Download this file by clicking here. You're going to want to click the word here. This Excel spreadsheet has all of the information for all of the members in AGO who have your chapter on their membership record, whether or not they are canceled or if they're current. And so it's important to be comfortable using Excel to use this huge output of information. And once again, if you need help doing that, please don't hesitate to call me. I'm happy to help you navigate the world of Excel, but it is more of a one-on-one conversation. The important columns, besides the address columns on this Excel sheet, are also way over. So to get to your chapter specific questions, they start somewhere around column B, E, and BF. So you can see that for the test chapter, the person who this row is for selected that they are available to substitute on Sunday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So this is how you get those answers from your chapter members.
Molly, since you were talking about filtering, Stephen Lewis has a question. Can you filter and get a usable email list of the chapter?
Yes, but that is going to be from the member roster page. Remember, you can only filter data from the member roster page. So that's where you'll want to do it. And like I said, that I think it's column, let's go back. I think it's column I, where, yep, on the Excel output from the member roster page, column I is email addresses. So if you would filter by expiration date, you get all of your current members, and then you could create an Excel spreadsheet and then copy column I, and you'd have all of the email addresses for your current membership. All right, I think that we are ready to move on to print chapter data collection form. Now, this is just a blank form that has all of the fields from the personal information page, including your chapter's chapter-specific questions. So it's useful if you have perhaps an older member who's not comfortable updating their personal information through ONCARD, but wants to give you that information. You can give them a blank form. It looks like this, and it has all of the lines for addresses and email. And then you as a chapter officer can go into the pencil next to their name and update that information for them. And now we're off to member change logs. And prior to this, this webinar, I got a question from a chapter officer on how the change logs can be useful. And the change logs are useful, but you have to be willing to kind of dig for the information. And I can show you some ways that they're useful. they let you know if details were changed by your chapter members. So if an address was changed or an email address was changed or phone number was changed, it'll be listed on the change logs. Now, the description will have the old email address, the old postal address, or the old phone number. You have to go into that member's pencil on the member roster to actually find out what their new information is. But the change logs alert you to the fact that a change has been made. So if you are wanting to send a newsletter by email, you can check the change logs and see kind of if anyone has made an update to their email. And if you have an outside list of emails, you can make sure that that person's email address has been updated on your outside list. It's also useful to look at who has renewed their membership. So it also has filtering capabilities. This action type will, you can see how many people have joined your chapter. That's an example of an action type. And you can put an action date. So if you want to see who's joined your chapter, since June, you can put 06/01/2021 in this action date, and the action type you would filter to join and search. And it would give you the ability to search all of those people who have joined since June. Here's an example of what the change logs look like. So because this is the test chapters change logs, and I was getting ready for this webinar, I made a lot of changes in the past couple days. And you can see that Leah Semikin joined the chapter on August 5th. So that's just an example of a join chapter. And you can see that Elizabeth George made her dues payment for the year on May 13th. And so those are some of the useful things on the change logs. They are imperfect. So if you have any specific questions about a member, you can always give me a call. I have the full picture of a membership, and I can give you the information that you need. Next, I don't know if you know that you have this capability, but this is an awesome feature. That you can pay your chapter sponsored members invoices all at once. Now, once again, this is only for chapter treasurers because they are the people who the chapter sponsored members are attached to. But you can pay all of your chapter sponsored members in one shot with a credit card payment, and you'll only be charged the national portion. So here you go. Here's an example. Since I am the treasurer of the chapters, the test chapters, because I'm the treasurer of the test chapter, my invoice appears here so that I can pay it at the same time as other chapter sponsored members. But you'll notice that it's for the full amount. My other chapter sponsored members are only invoiced for the national portion. And if you want to make a payment, you just click the boxes over here under pay, and you can pay one at a time, two at a time, all three at a time. So steps to make a payment. Check the boxes next to the invoices you would like to pay, and then enter your credit card information and submit the payment. And so you can enter the credit card type here. This little caret gives you, a drop-down menu of the choices, and then you can put in the expiration month and year and payment amount. And then all you do is submit the payment, and all of them are done in one foul swoop. This is also like a wonderful feature of chapter administration. You can print or email your member invoices. As long as a member has an invoice open, it will appear in this section and you can either print it out for them or send them an email with it attached. Now, the best browser to use in my experience is Firefox. I've tried it in Chrome a couple of times and Chrome does not like to send these emails. Just in my experience, it's best to use Firefox. All you do to print the member invoices is go next to the names. Let me show you, give you context again. It's hard to do on the PowerPoint, but we have the benefit that this is a webinar and I can show you the screens that you'll actually see. So only 2 people are invoice not paid in the test chapter. Me and Leah, we have been delinquent on paying our dues, but we'll do that shortly. But all you do to print an invoice for us would be to check this box and click here, and it will download them and you can print them out. And then if you decide that you don't want to mail us an invoice, you can just simply send us an email. And you're going to click email invoice next to the member's name, write a personal message in the text box. And you'll see up here that the PDF of the invoice has already been attached for you. And then you just click send invoice at the bottom of the screen. And you'll know that it's been sent successfully when the invoice has been emailed appears on your screen. There's a little quirk about this page is that you can only send 1 email at a time. And after you send each email, the system asks you to log back into chapter administration, which can kind of be a drag, but it's still a really amazing feature.
Okay, we do have a question that I think is relevant when you're talking about the invoices.
Sure.
Someone has said, unable to print invoice for chapter sponsored member, must be paid by chapter check. Is there a secret?
So for the chapter sponsored members, you can just go into that whenever there is one due, you can just go into that chapter pay chapter sponsored member invoices, and you can just, hand write us a note that with the check that says this amount of money is for this person, and we will get it to the right person. There is no way to print out an invoice. If you are the chapter treasurer, however, you can be mailed an invoice for your chapter sponsored members if you check the paper invoice next to that chapter sponsor's name on the member roster page. So that can be that's one way that you can be mailed an invoice for your chapter sponsored members.
We also have a question. I don't know if you're going to go on to talk about the Year of the Young Organist and AGOYO members, but part of this is correct and part of it isn't correct. So I'm going to let you clarify it. We understand that AGOYO members are not included on ONCARD. Well, they will be eventually included in ONCARD. So that's wrong. But they're not supposed to join through ONCARD. That is correct. And how do we obtain the AGOYO information to include in our directory? We cannot find this in our chapter's ONCARD file.
All right, so if you remember the part of my, we're just gonna go back to that page. So your young organists are going to appear on your member roster. They just can't join through ONCARD. They're joining through by filling out a form just because it's free this year. And so we are manually updating every young organist membership. But we are so excited to do this because it's a great initiative. They will appear on your member roster, and we're going to go back to the, right here we go. So this is how you find all the young organists in your chapter. You are going to filter by membership type, young organist, and filter by expiration date. I used that example of June 1st, 2021, just because those folks are in their grace period. And once you click process, it'll populate all the young organists, whether or not they're dual members or primary members of your chapter. And you can either see them all at the bottom of your screen or export them to Excel. So that's how you find them. But they'll also be, if you just filtered by expiration date, they'll be on that member roster, any current young organist. You might be referring when you said that they aren't in ONCARD, they will never be listed as invoice not paid this year because we're not opening invoices for them. And so they'll always just be marked as paid or canceled. And I would look at their expiration date to see if they're current. That's what I would do this year. Anything else, Elizabeth?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. All right. Well, we are off to the last menu option, which is review remit reports. Last year, I did like a very in-depth webinar on remit reports, and this is not going to be as in-depth. I'm just going to show you how to do find the details behind your ACH deposit. And this was a question also that I received previous to this webinar. So we can't put the details on your bank stub. It's not going to be there. It's only going to appear in this portion of chapter administration. So we get the details behind the ACH deposits to you through this review remit reports menu option. Oops. So as soon as you click on review remit reports, let me just give you some context again, so you just see it in real time. So we're going to click on this review remit reports, and we're going to start to scroll down this page, and you're going to start to see the funds and reports were remitted on a date. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you're going to see the most recent remit report or the most recent deposit. So the most recent deposit was made on July 9th, and that was funds and reports 415 through 419. So those are going to be important for you to generate a report of the details. You can do this in a PDF or in Excel. So once again, we're going to give you some context. If you want a PDF, you're going to put the report range next to this create report as PDF. If you want to create it as an Excel, you're going to enter the report range down here in this section next to create Excel export. And so just for the example today, I put in 415 to 419 because that's the most recent one. And then I would just click on create report as PDF and it would generate a PDF report. And then if you wanted an Excel report instead, you're going to put it in the correct location, this report range, and click on create Excel export. There's that extra step of download this file by clicking here that you have to do when creating an Excel. Just keep that in mind. This is a sample of what a PDF report looks like. I have whited out the personal information so that just to keep privacy for people, but this is a good example. The contributions will be at the top. So Peter contributed $100 to this chapter's pipe organ encounter fund. And then here are the other details. So these are all have to do with your dues. So this Peter paid his special membership dues, and Jason paid his secondary chapter dues. So Jason is a dual member in your chapter. And so at the end of the report, so when you create a PDF report, each report number will have its own page. So if there are 4 reports, the PDF will be 4 pages long. And at the end of the report, you will get the report total. And that is the number that should match the deposit we made into your into your bank account. And so this chapter had a good remit report, a good remit report amount, and they got $3,361. On the Excel spreadsheet, this is an example of the Excel report, and you have to total it on your own. So you're going to have to use the function, the sum function on the amount column. And as you will see, this also it gives you the numbers in negative, which is kind of inconvenient and counterintuitive, but just know that if it has a negative in front of it, it's the money that's coming to your chapter. Once again, Peter gave $100 to the pipe organ and counter. John paid his secondary dues, and so did Nicholas, and so on and so forth. And we are at the end.
For your interest in learning more about ONCARD. And again, you can call Leah, you can call Molly, you can call me. I actually do know quite a bit more after today's presentation than I did before. There's always someone at our office that can help you. So I'm just going to say thank you to everyone. Thank you, Molly. Stay safe, stay well, and I hope to see many of you next Monday. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you soon.